What's going on, guys? Listening to the wrong advice could be worse sometimes than doing nothing. Okay. And something I noticed a trend going around YouTube, just going around in general, and I've seen it for a few years, is this notion that as men, especially young men, should lead a life of zero resistance. We shouldn't have kids. We shouldn't spend any money. We shouldn't do anything that requires difficulty. And the reality is, whether you like it or not, men need a famous I think it was a famous psychologist one time. I think that's who said it. Said man needs difficulties, and you say, well, that's not true. Well, think about this: if you lift weights, if you're a bodybuilder, can you get strong lifting little weights? No, you got to lift heavy weights. Do you know anyone who if you know someone in your life, maybe someone you know that got rich? Um, and if you don't, just think of someone who's famous that got rich. Do they get rich by doing something easy? No, they work hard. They build a business. It sometimes it takes a half a lifetime to build this stuff up. If you're raising, if you've got kids and you're raising good kids, and your kids become something, is it something that's real easy and simple? And no, it's difficult. Same thing with saving money. You want to build wealth for yourself and you want to save money. Is that easy? No, absolutely it's not. So this notion of trying to move away from anything difficult is in my opinion, I think that's a bad idea and that's bad advice. Now you don't want to purposely make things hard on yourself. Okay. There's no question. There's things you can do to make your life easier as opposed to harder. But this notion, this idea, this dream that we want things to be easy, you don't want things to be easy. And I can tell you this, let you get a lot more fulfillment from your achievements than you get from sitting around. And you get more fulfillments from your achievements when they're more difficult. You know, as there's a billionaire, Henry Nicholas, said that in order to be happy, you've got to set a goal and then kill yourself accomplishing it. And the bigger the goal, the bigger the accomplishment, the bigger sacrifice, the bigger the payoff will be. The bigger the happiness is, the higher your self-esteem is. And I read an interesting book years back because I was probably when I was in my, let's say, early 30s, like maybe 32, around there. I'm 40. I'm going to be 45. When I was in my really early 30s, I had this notion because I was running a business, I was building my business, I was working all the time, I had little kids. So it felt like I was the only one working, and that everyone else's life was easy. And I came across this book that talked about how you need to work for fulfillment, for self-esteem, for life. That he talked about how he intended to write a book that we need leisure and we need to sit back and we don't need to be working so hard. He said, but in all his research, he found exactly the opposite, that in order to be fulfilled, in order to have high self-esteem, in order to be happy, we need to be working. And he talked about even like the people who are taking the most vacations are people who are working the hardest. They're making the most money. And let's take out the whole, because I know someone's gonna say, well, what about the people who inherit their money, or this and that? Okay, take those out. Those are the outliers. Of course, there's gonna be people that inherit money. There's gonna be people who win a lottery. There's gonna be people who luck out at a great job. Like, for example, it's funny. This is a little side note, but I always laugh at if you ever seen the show Wheel of Fortune. And I mean, I'm sure you don't watch it. I don't watch it, but of course we all know about it, right? And it's funny because I always think that Pat Sajak, the guy who was the host of the show, he of course it was just by accident. Of course, he's probably one of the luckiest people on the face of the earth. He just happened to be land the easiest, highest paying job you can have. I think he was making like $7 million a year or something. And talk about like the easiest job you can have. Okay, sure, there's people like that out there, but again, those are the anomalies. Those are the outliers. That's not the norm. The bulk of people are like you and I, who are working. Some people make a good amount of money. Some people are struggling. What you want to do is you want to get away from that struggling to where you're making a good amount of money where you can put some money in the bank, you can have some money, you can pay down some debts, you can take some vacations. 'Cause I can tell you this, when you take a vacation after you've busted your ass for 6 months or 7 months, and you paid a few things off, and then you take that vacation, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. And if you haven't done it yet, try it. Try it. It's something it changes your mindset, and then you get on vacation and you realize, you know what, I'm going to work harder. It just changes your mind when you get out there. When you get in this thing, when you get in that I almost want to call it a rut, where you're thinking, I don't want to spend money, I don't want to have kids, I don't want to get married, I don't want to spend any money, I don't want to do anything else. Your mind and your world starts shrinking. Okay, and then all of a sudden, number one, you don't want to do anything, and then if you change your mind, you want to do something at that point. Sometimes things things that you might want to have as goals might seem like these huge mountains that you can never accomplish. But the flip side of it is when you're the flip side of it is when you're working at something, you're constantly going, you're accomplishing stuff big and small. Then all of a sudden, those goals that something else you might want to do, maybe you say, well, you know what, I want to get a new apartment, I want to get a new house, I want to pay off a credit card I have, I want to put X amount of dollars in the bank, I want to get a new car, I want to send my kids to a certain school, I want to buy my wife or girlfriend a ring, or whatever it might be. Then all of a sudden your mind's expanded, and what you want to do is you want to keep expanding your mind, you want to keep expanding your world, you want to keep expanding your potential, you want to keep expanding what you could do, you want to keep expanding your ambition, because the it all goes together: work ethic, ambition, goals, and what you think you can do. Because for example, I mean, I remember being 20 years old, 19 years old, and being like, okay, well, I want to make $500,000 this year. And I didn't even believe I could. And of course I didn't. So because I didn't have I didn't have any experience in accomplishing anything. But I think I wanted it, but I had no idea how to do it, and my mind wasn't there yet. And that's the thing. It's like, but if you stay in that spot, like if you stay in that spot where you haven't accomplished anything big, and you keep thinking small, and the problem is a lot of these people that are preaching this small thinking are people who have been burned before. And I'm not even knocking them for preaching that. But the problem is, I just don't think that's good advice. I think that's really bad advice, and I think that keeps people really small, because when you have, like, for example, when you have kids, all of a sudden your world expands. Okay, now of course, and again, there's outliers to this. Of course, there's people who have kids, they don't want kids, and they're not good parents, and then they don't. Maybe you've had that in your life. Maybe we all know people like that. Maybe it was your parents, maybe it was someone close to you, maybe it's someone you know. But I'm talking about people. You're the type of person. You're watching this video, you're studying this, you're trying to improve yourself. If you don't have kids, you'll be a good parent. If you have kids, you're a good parent. Okay, so when you have kids, it expands your world, automatically expands. It's just stuff you never even thought of before. And then all of a sudden you have to achieve something, so your mind starts thinking on a different level. And then when you even work on something small, and you get that small success, that small win, if you keep it rolling, you keep that momentum going, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And maybe you're at a spot, you say, well, you know what, I've done things, and it didn't work out. It's not working out for me. Nothing's working out for me. Okay, and that's fair, because you know what, and I'll tell you how to get over that. Every single person hits tough spots. Okay, we all do. That's part of life. But here's what you do. because when you get off track, because inevitably we all do. I don't care what part of life you're at, what stage you're at. You are going to hit blocks where you're going to hit roadblocks where you're burnt out. You feel like, the last 10 things you tried, you failed at. You feel like a failure. Maybe you're behind on some bills. Maybe you racked up some credit card debt. Whatever it is, it's okay. Here's what you do. Start with something really small and get that win. You say, well, what's the big deal if it's really small? Just get that win. Just get that win, whatever it might be. Maybe maybe, and it doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it's you haven't worked out in a while, and you feel like, because I know for those of us as you get older, I can tell you, and that's all another story. We won't even get into it. But I was talking to my brother about this, not too long ago, that I remember people always talk about when they were, listening to older people, when I was, my 20s, and listen to people who were older than me say, oh, my body changes and this and that. And I'm always like, just because you don't exercise, whatever. But as you get older, what happens is sometimes it gets a little harder to exercise. Maybe you're not as consistent, and then your body does change. And then it's not like when you're 20, when you feel like you're out of shape, you get back in the gym, a week goes by and you're right back in great shape, right? It's like, no, when you're a little older, it's a little bit different. But here's the thing. Let's say you're at a spot where you kind of feel like you got out of shape. You added some pounds. You don't feel good. Start by just either getting in. Maybe if you got a gym membership, go to the gym. Okay. Maybe you got some equipment at home, work out at home. Maybe you don't have any equipment. Well, then do a workout at home. Get some time to yourself where you have 30 minutes. Well, I don't have 30 minutes because it's, the kids, the wife, this, that. You can get 30 minutes. Do it before they get up in the morning. Do it after they go to bed at night. Whatever it is, take 30 minutes and do a workout. Do some burpees, do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, do some jumping jacks, do some squats. That's if you have no free weights. If you got a couple of free weights, do some dumbbell curls. If you don't have that, do calf raises. If you got a jump rope, do that. That's the first win. Just get that win. And then make a list of like 10 things that are easy for you to do that you can get those wins, and just get that, do it over in like a week. Maybe the first one's going to the gym. Maybe the second one's starting a book that you want to read, or going to the library, picking out a book, going to the bookstore, buying a book, or opening a book that you already have. Start reading that book. Read the first chapter. And again, 10 things that you can do to get 10 easy, simple wins. Even if they're just the easiest, simplest things, it doesn't even matter. Get 10 wins. What you just did, once you do that, is you got some momentum. You got some momentum. Then all of a sudden, not only you got momentum, but it's positive momentum. You're going in the right direction. And we'll wrap it on this. Guys, nothing worthwhile is easy. I always tell my kids that. There's nothing in life that's worthwhile that's easy. You won't find a person that's accomplished anything worthwhile that's easy. And when we want things to be easier, it's because we're overwhelmed. So we want things easier. But you don't want that, and you don't need that. Well, I take that back. Maybe you do want that, but that's not what you need. It's the resistance that creates the growth. It's the resistance that makes you better, that makes you stronger, that makes you more confident. Once you start accomplishing, you develop this like almost like this coat of armor on you. That's a self-esteem that changes, that you almost like step up to another level, and not that everything's easy, because things are continue to be difficult, and as you push and get higher goals, but you develop a self-confidence that like you never had before. And then so then you believe you can do bigger and bigger things, and you will go after bigger and bigger things, and you will inevitably accomplish bigger and bigger things. And we'll wrap it up at we will wrap at that, guys. All right.